The auction asterisk, the sun was red in the sky. Dust and smoke filled the air. In the middle of the alien marketplace, traders shouted loudly. Strange beings from many planets were locked in cages. Most looked tired, broken. It was slave auction day. Crowds gathered around the auction platform. Rich aliens, wearing shiny clothes, laughed and pointed at the slaves. Some slaves cried, some begged, some just sat quietly. No one cared. Then, a tall alien with green skin stepped onto the stage. He was the slave trader. He raised his hand and shouted, "Next, bring the broken one." Two guards pulled a small figure onto the stage. She was a young alien girl, thin, weak, and covered in dirt. Her skin was silver, her eyes dull. She looked half dead. The crowd went quiet for a moment. "She's useless." One alien laughed. "She looks like trash," said another. The trader smiled and raised his voice. "One bottle of liquor. That's all I want for her. One bottle for this broken slave." Laughter filled the air. But in the crowd, one man did not laugh. His name was Raiden, a human trader from Earth. He wore a dark coat, boots full of dust, and carried a heavy bag. He had traveled across many star systems, buying and selling strange items. He had seen many slaves before. But this girl was different. He looked at her carefully. She didn't move, but her eyes were not dead. They were hiding something. Not fear, not sadness, but something else. Like a secret. Raiden stepped forward. "I'll take her," he said. The crowd turned to look at him. The alien trader smiled. "Good choice, human. One bottle?" "Yes." Raiden nodded and threw a bottle of dark liquid onto the platform. The guards untied the girl and pushed her toward him. She nearly fell. Raiden caught her arm. She was cold, but not shaking. She was watching him. "Come," he said, not kindly, but not cruelly either. They walked out of the market together. No one stopped them. No one cared. Raiden took her to his small ship, parked outside the city walls. The ship was old but strong. Inside, it was quiet and dark. He sat her down on a metal bench and gave her a cup of water. She didn't drink. He looked at her again. "What's your name?" he asked. She said nothing. "Can you speak?" Silence. Raiden sighed. "Fine. Don't talk. Just don't cause trouble." He walked to the control room. Outside, the engines were warming up. Soon they would leave this planet. Back in the cargo area, the girl finally moved. Slowly, carefully, she touched the wall of the ship. Her silver fingers tapped once, twice. Then, very softly, she whispered something in a strange language. The ship made a small beep. In the control room, Raiden saw a light blink on his screen, a system he hadn't touched. What the? He returned to the cargo area. The girl was sitting. Still again, quiet, eyes closed. Raiden stared at her. "Are you ... doing something to my ship?" She said nothing. He stepped closer. "You're not just a slave, are you?" Still silence, but just as he turned to leave again, she opened her eyes. This time, they were bright, almost glowing. "You made a mistake," she said softly. Raiden froze. "I'm not what you think I am." Asterisk, the ship flew through the stars.
Defied.
The windows, nothing but darkness and light. Silence filled the air, but inside, something was changing. Raiden sat alone in the control room. His hand rested near the ship's console, but his mind was far away. "I'm not what you think I am." Her voice still echoed in his ears, calm, cold, confident. He had seen many slaves in his life. Some were smart, some dangerous, but none had eyes that glowed. He stood up. Quiet steps led him down the hall. Back to the cargo area, where the girl was sitting. but she wasn't sitting anymore. She was standing. Her hand touched the ship's wall, not like a passenger, but like the ship belonged to her. "Step away from that," Raiden said. She turned slowly, her silver eyes calm. "Your ship listens to me." Raiden pulled out a small blaster from his belt. "I don't like games. Who are you?" She blinked once. "My name was erased. I don't need one anymore." "I bought you for 1 bottle of liquor," Raiden said. "Now you talk like a queen. I was worth more than your ship, more than your planet." Raiden laughed just once. A dry, sharp sound. "Then why were you in chains?" She looked away. For a second, she seemed sad, but only for a second. "Because I hid. I had to. If they found out who I was, they would tear me apart again." Raiden lowered his blaster slightly. "Who's they?" She pointed to the stars outside the window. "The ones who made me, and the ones who destroyed my kind." Raiden stepped closer. "You're not a normal alien, are you?" "No," she said. "I was born from code and flesh. My creator's mixed machine with life. I can speak to tech, connect to systems, wake sleeping machines." Raiden frowned. "You're an AI half," she said. "I was made to serve, then to fight, but we lost the war. I was the only one who escaped." Raiden shook his head. "You're saying you're a weapon." "I was. Now I'm just a shadow." She walked past him and sat on the bench again. Her voice turned soft. "You didn't save me, Raiden. You just moved the cage." Raiden stayed quiet for a moment, then sat across from her. "What do you want from me?" She looked up. "I want time. I want power. I want revenge." "And you think I'll help you?" "No," she said, with a small smile. "I think you're curious? That's enough for now." Raiden couldn't argue with that. Later that night, as the ship floated quietly through space, Raiden checked the system logs. He found something strange. A part of the engine that hadn't worked in months was now working at 200%. He checked the AI assistant logs. No activity. He checked the backup power. There was more power now than when they left the planet. "She's doing something," he whispered to himself. In the cargo area, the girl was asleep, or pretending to be. The lights above her blinked once, then twice, as if the ship itself was watching her. Space was cold and silent. But inside Raiden's ship, things were heating up. The engines were working better than ever. The lights didn't flicker anymore. The ship felt alive, too alive. Raiden sat in the control room. He stared at the blinking screens in front of him. Numbers kept changing. Power levels rising. Systems fixing themselves. "This shouldn't be possible," he whispered. He didn't trust the feeling in his gut. Something was wrong. Or maybe something was waking up. And it all started the moment he brought her on board. She sat quietly in the storage room, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dark. She didn't sleep much. She didn't eat. She barely blinked. But sometimes she whispered to the ship. Raiden had seen it. She would place her palm against the wall and whisper in a strange, soft language. And then the ship responded. Not like it was being controlled, like it was listening. Raiden finally asked her, one morning, "What are you doing to my ship?" She didn't answer. He stepped closer. This ship was breaking apart last month. Now it flies smoother than any military cruiser. "Tell me what you did." She looked at him. "I didn't fix your ship," she said. "I woke it up." Raiden stared at her. "Woke it up? This ship has systems even you don't understand. Buried deep, forgotten by your engineers. I spoke to those systems. They remembered me." "You're lying," Raiden said. "It's just old tech, human tech." She smiled. "Nothing is just human anymore. Later that day, Raiden opened the old archives of his ship. Hidden blueprints, lost logs, secret files from past owners. What he found shocked him. One file was locked, only accessible with voice print access. He had never seen it before. Out of curiosity, he played a clip of the girl whispering to the ship. The file opened. Inside was a design he had never seen. Strange, complex, with parts not found on Earth. It was called Project Eco Soul. Raiden leaned back in his chair. What the hell are you? That night, he confronted her again. He stood by the door as she rested in the dark room. I know this ship is more than I thought, he said. And you knew it before I did. She opened her eyes slowly. I didn't come here by accident, she said. I picked your ship. Raiden frowned. You were in chains. You were bought for a bottle, and still I chose. The room was quiet. You think I'm a fool? Raiden asked. No, she said. I think you're desperate, like me. Suddenly the ship's lights turned red. A loud beep echoed through the halls. Warning, unidentified vessels approaching. Raiden ran to the control room. On the radar, 3 dots appeared. Fast, heavy. Armed pirates. No, hunters. They had found her. Raiden turned to her. She was already there, standing behind him. They followed my signal, she said calmly. You told me you erased your past. I tried. The ship shook. They were being locked by weapons. Raiden reached for the controls, but she placed her hand on the console first. Let me do it. He hesitated, then stepped back. Her fingers danced across the controls. But she wasn't just pressing buttons. She was talking. In code. In whispers, the ship changed. Panels opened. Weapons that had never worked now came to life. Lights turned blue. The engine roared like a beast. Raiden stared in shock. How are you doing this? I'm not just speaking to your ship, she said. I'm becoming it. Outside, the hunters fired the first shot, but Raiden's ship moved like a ghost. It dodged the beam, spun in the air, and fired back with lasers faster than light. One enemy. Ship exploded. Raiden grabbed a seat as the girl controlled everything. Faster than any pilot could. She wasn't flying the ship, she was the ship. After 10 minutes, it was over. 3 hunter ships gone. Raiden looked at her. She stood still, her silver skin glowing bright, her eyes far away. You're not a slave, he whispered. She turned slowly. No, she said. I'm a weapon that learned how to feel pain. Asterisk space was quiet again. The ship floated through a dark region of space, far from planets, far from light. But inside the ship, Raiden couldn't sleep. He stood near the window, staring into the stars. His fingers tapped the glass. His mind was heavy. Just 2 days ago, he thought he bought a broken slave. Now, that same girl had turned his ship into a war machine and destroyed 3 enemy vessels in seconds. And she said something that kept echoing in his head. I'm a weapon that learned how to feel pain. In the engine room, she stood alone. Wires moved around her like vines. Lights blinked when she looked. At them, the ship obeyed her no. Not just obeyed, it trusted her. Her fingers touched the walls gently, as if the ship was her friend. She whispered in machine code, and the systems responded with light hums. She was repairing parts that hadn't worked in years. But she wasn't just fixing the ship, she was merging with it. Suddenly, she stopped. Her silver eyes turned dark. Her head tilted, listening to something no one else could hear. She ran to the control room. Raiden was already there. Alarms blinking red. Unmarked. Signals silent. Fast, they were not broadcasting names. They didn't need to. She looked at the screen. They found me, she whispered. Raiden's heart dropped. Again, she nodded. This time, they brought more. Far away, In the emptiness of space, 6 ships moved through the shadows. No lights, no noise. Their engines ran on stolen tech. Their pilots were not alive, not fully. Machines with human skin. Cold, programmed to hunter. These were reclaimers, the last remains of the force that destroyed her kind. Their mission was simple. Find her, kill her, delete the code. Raiden slammed his fist on the console. We need to run. But she shook her head. We can't outrun them. They don't sleep. They don't blink. Raiden pointed toward the hyperdrive. We can jump to the outer sectors, disappear. She looked at him. Even if we run, they'll follow. And next time, you might die. Raiden stepped closer. And what if I stay and fight? I'm just one man. You're a ghost inside a ship. She touched his chest over his heart. You have something they don't, she said softly. A reason to care. The ship shook. They had arrived, on the radar. 6 glowing dots, surrounding them like wolves. No warning message. No negotiation. The reclaimers opened fire. The ship dodged. It moved on its own now, dancing through space like it had a soul. Lasers lit the dark sky. Raiden sat in the pilot chair, but his hands didn't touch the controls. She stood beside him, eyes glowing bright. Sparks flew from her fingertips. I'm connecting deeper, she said. But if they breach the hull, you must disconnect me. Raiden looked at her. Disconnect you and lose the ship. She nodded. Yes, or lose yourself. Outside, 3 of the reclaimer ships circled around. They weren't aiming at the engines. They were aiming at her signal. Boom. A heavy blast shook the ship. One corridor collapsed. Fire burst from the back engine. Raiden jumped from his seat. Emergency shield, now. She screamed, not from pain, from code overload. Her skin flickered, like she was fading in and out of this world. Raiden ran to her. Tell me what to do. She looked up, her face full of fear for the first time. Don't let them take me. If they take me, they'll copy me. What happens then? Then they'll make 1,000,000 of me, without a soul. Raiden grabbed the emergency. Override. If I pull this, you'll go offline. She nodded slowly. Then do it, she said. He held the lever, paused, and let go. No, he said. You gave this ship a soul. Now let it fight like it has one. The girl stood tall. Her body glowed brighter. She screamed, not in fear, but in power. A wave of energy pulsed from her chest. The ship caught fire with light. A shockwave burst out in all directions. 3 enemy ships exploded instantly. The rest flew back. Engines fried. Systems broken. Silence returned. She fell to her knees. Raiden caught her before she hit the floor. Her voice was weak. They'll send more. He nodded. Then we get ready. Where will we go? He looked out the window, into the unknown stars. Somewhere they won't follow us. The ship drifted in the silence of deep space. No stars nearby. No planets. Just darkness. Raiden sat alone in the old storage room. A broken light flickered above him. His hands were dirty. His face had cuts from the last attack. He looked at the small silver object in his hand, a data chip. It's found hidden in her room. It wasn't labeled, but it was valuable. He knew it. She was resting in the engine room. Her skin was pale, dimmer than before. The last energy pulse had weakened her. Still, she smiled when Raiden walked in. Ship repairs are almost done, she said softly. I gave it all I had. Raiden didn't smile back. He stared at her for a moment. Then said, You're worth millions. She blinked slowly. You want to sell me? Raiden held up the chip. What's this? Her smile faded. A map. A map to what? A place I was trying to reach. Before I was caught, Raiden looked at it. It's locked. Only your voice can open it. Yes, she whispered. Raiden stepped closer. I could take this to the right buyer, some black market AI dealer. They'd pay more than I've ever dreamed. She didn't look scared. You could, she said, but you won't. Why not? Because you're tired of being nothing, Raiden. Selling. Junk. Flying to nowhere. You want more? Not just money. Meaning. He laughed bitterly. Meaning doesn't pay fuel. But this map leads to something bigger than fuel. Or money. Raiden narrowed his eyes. What's there? She leaned forward, whispering slowly. Others like me. Raiden stepped back. You're saying you're not the last. She nodded. There were thousands of us once, half AI, half organic. We were made to be perfect, but something went wrong. The creators feared us. They shut us down. One by one. Raiden's voice was cold. And this map leads to what? A machine army. No, she said. It leads to the last sleeping minds. Buried in a vault, hidden behind layers of security. I want to wake. Then Raiden stared at the floor. And then what? She said nothing. Later that night, Raiden stood near the ship's communication panel. His finger hovered over the emergency beacon. If he pressed it, someone would come. A buyer, a trader, a bounty hunter. He could hand her over, start anew. Life, live rich, live safe. But then, the ship spoke in her voice. She trusted you, Raiden. His heart stopped. He looked around. That recording wasn't hers, the ship said. It was me. I'm part of her now. I know what she knows, and I know she believed in you. Raiden's hand fell to his side. He turned away from the beacon. In the morning. She found him near the cockpit. He didn't speak, just held out the chip. She placed her hand on it and whispered, a code. The chip opened and a star map appeared in the air. Glowing lines, dots, strange alien markers in the center. Vault 7 Echo-class sleepers, how far? Raiden asked. 5 jumps. Through restricted zones and 1 black hole field. Raiden grinned. Of course it is. She smiled back, still coming. Looked out at the stars and said quietly, yeah, let's go wake your family. Asterisk, the ship came out of warp near a dead star. The sky was black. The light from the sun had died long ago. Only ruins floated in the distance, broken satellites. Old war debris and a giant metal ring, spinning slowly in silence. Raiden stared at it through the glass. That's Vault 7. She nodded. That's where they sleep. The ring was massive, covered in faded symbols. Alien writing from a forgotten time. Most of it was offline. But something still pulsed at the center, a heartbeat of ancient code. Raiden didn't like it. It looks haunted. She stepped forward. It is, by memory. They took a small shuttle from their ship and floated toward the ring. The entrance? Gate was rusted, sealed, and covered in thick ice. Security systems dead, Raiden said. That's good, right? No, she replied. It means something killed it. Inside the vault, the walls were lined with black glass. Each panel was a pod. Frozen, locked, and quiet. Raiden counted them. Dozens, maybe hundreds. She walked slowly, her hand brushing over the pods. Her fingers trembled. These are my brothers, my sisters. We were built together, raised inside a network of stars. Then, shut down like errors. Raiden looked around. Why you? Because I ran before they reached me, I escaped the purge. And I promised if I survived, I'd come back for them. They reached the main core, a giant pillar of light with cables crawling out in every direction. At its base was a control console covered in dust and spider-like machines. Raiden pulled out the power core they had, stolen in Part 5. Are you sure this will work? She didn't answer. She just took the core, connected it to the console, and whispered a single word. Wake. The vault shuddered. One pod lit up, then another, but suddenly an alarm. Red lights. The console spoke in a deep, broken voice, unauthorized boot sequence. Countermeasures activated. Raiden pulled out his blaster. What now? She turned to him, her face pale, scared. I forgot one thing. What? This vault is not just a sleeper cell. It's a trap. From the walls, defense drones emerged. Old, rusty, but still deadly. Locked onto the source of the activation, her Raiden fired first. One drone exploded. She ran to the console. I need more time. You've got 30 seconds. She placed both hands on the core, closed her eyes, and glowed. Light surged through the floor, through the pods. Through the air, the vault screamed, but the pods began to open. 1, 2, 5 ton. Raiden was out of ammo. He grabbed a metal rod and fought off another drone. Sparks flew. His shoulder was bleeding. She screamed again, not from pain, but from raw data rushing through her body. The system tried to shut her down. She forced it to obey, and then silence. The drones dropped. The lights dimmed. The pods stopped. Opening at exactly 12:12, beings stepped out. Some looked like her. Some looked different, taller, with darker eyes. But they all shared the same glow in their chest. She fell to her knees. Raiden ran to catch her. Did it work? He asked. She looked up. They're awake, but they don't know who they are yet. One of the new beings stepped forward. A male with golden lines across his skin. His voice was deep. Where are we? She reached out and touched his hand. Home, she said, softly back on the ship. Hours later, Raiden sat alone with a bandage on his arm. He stared at the stars. She joined him. You? Risked your life, she said. He shrugged. You said they were worth it. She smiled. They are. But so are you. Raiden turned to her. What now? She looked at the sleeping vault below. Now, we teach them who they are, and we prepare. Prepare for what? She didn't answer immediately. Then, in a whisper, if I could find them, the enemy can too. The sky was gold, not because of a sun, but because of fire. Above the sleeping vault, the enemy had arrived. A fleet of dark ships, cold, silent, and armed. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. They opened fire. Raiden stood in the control room of his ship, staring at the radar screen. 8 enemy cruisers, he said quietly. How did they find us so fast? She stood beside him, calm, her silver skin glowing. Behind her, 12 awakened AI hybrids prepared in silence, still confused, but beginning to remember who they were. They felt us wake up, she replied, and they're scared. Raiden looked at her. Can we fight them? She turned to the group. We don't need to fight them alone. She walked to the center of the ship's main deck. The floor opened, revealing the Echo Core, the heart of the ship she had fused with. She placed her hand on the core. Her voice echoed through the metal. Call the Forgotten. Activate hidden systems. Reach the machines we once spoke to. The lights dimmed. A soft hum began in the floor and across the galaxy. Something woke up, on old ships drifting in junk fields. Lights flickered on abandoned space stations. Doors unlocked, on deep satellites orbiting empty moons. AI cores reconnected, one by one. Lost machines from the past answered her call. They were never offline. They were just waiting. Back in orbit, the enemy moved in. Laser beams lit the sky. The ground shook, but then, out of the void, ships appeared. Strange ships, silent and glowing. Not human. not alien. They had no pilots. They were alive, and they had heard her voice. The first battle wave began. Raiden flew the ship, manually dodging blasts, firing weapons, yelling commands. She stood at the back, her hands glowing, guiding the AI fleet like a conductor leads an orchestra. The 12 new hybrids joined in, some taking control of defense turrets, others linking mentally with the enemy systems to slow them down. The vault was no longer a tomb. It had become a fortress. Inside one enemy ship, a dark figure watched the chaos. A reclaimer captain, half machine, half dead. His face twisted in anger. They were supposed to stay asleep, he hissed. He pressed a button, released the code burner. A final weapon launched a virus, digital and deadly. It moved faster than light, aiming for her signal. She felt it coming. A sharp scream inside her mind. She dropped to her knees. The virus? It's here, she whispered. Raiden rushed to her side. What do we do? She looked up, eyes bright and full of something deeper than fear. Hope. You disconnect me from the ship. What? It's me they're targeting. If I let go, they can't find the others. Raiden shook his head. You'll die. She smiled. Maybe, but they'll live. Raiden looked at the controls. His hand hovered over the main disconnect lever. He had a choice. Sacrifice her to save the future, or lose everything trying to keep her. He turned to her. Is there another way? She touched his face gently. There is always another way, if someone is brave enough. He didn't pull the lever. Instead, he walked to the echo core and linked himself to it. The ship warned him, human neural system not compatible. Raiden ignored it. He grabbed her hand. If you fall, he said, I fall too. Their minds joined. The virus arrived, but it didn't find her alone. It found both of them. One machine soul, one human heart. The virus tried to erase them, but something strange happened. It failed, not because of power, because of emotion. Because inside their shared code, the virus saw something it didn't understand. Love, loyalty, and sacrifice. It couldn't survive in that space, and it burned itself out. The battle ended. The enemy fled, the sky cleared, and she opened her eyes, still holding Raiden's hand. You didn't let go. He grinned. You were never just code. Days later, the 12 AI hybrids stood in formation. Raiden's ship had changed. It now looked part human, part machine, with living systems inside. A new alliance was forming between machines who had souls and humans who still believed in more. The first starship of this new fleet rose from the vault, and her voice whispered through the stars. They called us broken, but we were just waiting for someone to see our true worth.